I don't believe this.
Excuse me, I wonder if you could do me a favor. My uncle's having a little problem with shoplifting.
Mm-hmm. Where's your uncle?
Swarm! Swarm!
I'm an old man. I'm confused.
There you go. Who can forget that iconic Uncle Leo scene from Seinfeld? Caught stealing from the library. Blames it on his age. He's old and confused. Back to real life, and get this, Samuel Sabatino might have used the same feeble old man routine. Prosecutors say the 82-year-old would slip past the doormen in swanky buildings under the guise of trustworthy old man. Then he'd scope out apartments looking for clues that the resident was out of town. Maybe it's the papers piled up in front of the door, so there it is. That's the place to target. Then once inside, he would go straight to the bedroom, look for the jewelry, wedding rings, and he scored big time. Over the past 5 years, cops say Sabatino swiped hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of valuables, so he's being held on $500,000 bond. His attorney told CNN she was unavailable for comment. Let's bring in retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey. What do you make of this guy? 82 years old, sounds like he's got the long history, just couldn't give up the life of crime, huh?
Well, listen, it's worked for him, right? According to reports, this guy has been capering since the 60s. But listen, there's an end to everything, and complacency, will get you caught. And I guess he thought that he figured it out. He covered all the angles, and it worked for years, decades even. So why stop now, right?
$400,000 worth of stuff in 5 years. Supposedly, though, when you talk about, Cheryl, how he got caught, he carried this black bag. So August 31st, enters the building with this bag, and I guess the doorman stopped him and said, "Can I help you?" He says he's visiting his cousin C.R.A.S.H. The doorman says, "There's nobody here by that name." He leaves the building, and he's caught. So it sounds like he was really under investigation here, was ever doing this, right?
Well, listen, I think people forget, with technology being what it is, there are cameras everywhere. And I know he was kind of slippery in that he used cash to evade authorities. But even when you pay cash to go through a toll road, there's still pictures that are being taken. And listen, who's looking for an 80-year-old, an octogenarian, to be a thief, right? You have in your mind what that looks like. And so he's unsuspecting. He seems harmless.
Yeah, he's now facing charges, burglary, attempted burglary, grand larceny, and he's also being dubbed, by the way, the holiday burglar, Cheryl, because I guess, he'd wait for the holiday season, maybe the long weekend, Labor Day, Memorial Day, and then make the drive New York to Florida. A couple of things there. You mentioned the technology, also just the cockiness of somebody, right? They get overconfident.
The sheer arrogance. And listen, if you're a criminal and you've got nothing but time on your hands to think about how you want to commit your next crime, holidays are a perfect time because folks are out of town and they're gone for several days. But I'm sure if he was hitting the same places or with some specificity, investigators being what they are, good, they're going to start looking for the commonality, the similarities, and then it was just a matter of time, albeit a long time, but now he's in custody.
Couple of things. What kind of investigating is going on now to make sure he was not involved in other crimes? Because, again, he's driving Florida to New York. There's some nice places in Miami may have hit as well.
Well, I'm sure that there will probably be some conversations had between agencies. We just arrested a guy who was involved in this kind of pattern. They'll talk about MO, modus of operandi, and they will see where there are similarities along the route.
Yeah. Same kind of deal there. And how also, on an investigative front, do you determine if he's had any help here?
Well, I think he's probably been working alone. That's why he's been so successful, because when you bring, more than one into a criminal enterprise, sometimes, loose lips sink ships, right?
There you go. There you go. And he wants all the loot for himself. You mentioned this criminal history. He had a new identity. He was indicted in 2001, let's say that, and it goes back even further than that, but new identity, new name. So have you dealt with that, Cheryl, in your history? Just that person where you hope their life changes, but it just doesn't. They can't turn.
I don't mean to be cynical, but people are who they are in their core. And so while they may alter bad behavior for a moment, they're going to go back to who they are. And so he's a criminal. He was a young criminal. He was a middle-aged criminal. And now he's a grandpa criminal.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with 82-year-old Samuel Sabatino. Fascinating story there. Cheryl, thanks again for your time. As always,
Thanks
appreciate it.